Hey, everybody. Remember, if you're a fan of the Tennessee Volunteers or just sports in general, please like, comment, and subscribe. Any and all support's greatly appreciated. Now, let's get to the video. Hey, guys. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're all doing well. Wanted to follow up with another video today highlighting some hoops that happened yesterday. Going to stick with the format where most of the time we're going to talk about my Volunteers, but there were also a handful of other games that I think were notable. And the whole reason for this, right, is we're just a few days away from March and things are about to get very real for a lot of teams. And so the teams that are starting to hit their stride and pick up momentum are probably going to fare pretty well. And the teams that are starting to slide a little bit and lose some of that momentum, well, you know, we're not a fortune tellers over here, but it's not outside of the realm of possibility to believe that they will likely see a quick end in March. First and foremost, highlighting the game between Missouri and Tennessee yesterday. Probably one of the ugliest first halves of basketball I've ever seen in my life from both teams. You would think when a half finishes 29-26, oh my gosh, this is some type of defensive battle. And candidly, it was. However, both teams were just making back-breaking decisions throughout the entirety of the first half. Tennessee jumped out pretty quickly to a 10-2 lead. And then really from that point on, the team was just ice cold for stretches of the game, which ultimately led to their defeat. Meanwhile, Missouri started something like 0 of 11 from three for the first portion of the game. None of their shooters were really able to find their stride early on. And this just resulted in a game that felt like both teams were really just down in the mud fighting. Second half comes around, and Missouri really finds their footing. Their three-point shots started falling, and they were led. And let's go ahead and pull up the box score here. If I scroll down, this T.O. Barrett guy, 36 minutes, 28 points, 12 of 17. Funnily enough, he didn't hit any three-pointers, which is somewhat surprising to me, but okay. This dude just would not miss. He was cutting to the basket. He was penetrating the lane. He was doing everything for them, and it was noticeable, right? He was a game changer, and that his scoring and his ability to get clutch time baskets was exactly what ended up pushing Missouri over the edge and into victory. Tennessee, again, don't let necessarily the box score fool you. Nate Ament, 17 total points. You know, 5 of those coming from the free throw line. He looked a little bruised, a little dinged up. Okpara had a heck of a second half. 11 of those 15 points. Jacoby doing Jacoby things. Bishop Boswell also had a pretty good game. But if we go over here, two things stand out. Plus 12 in the rebound margin, we're used to that, but 7 more turnovers than Missouri, who Missouri was also one of the most turnover-prone teams in the nation, and that's the difference in a 4-point game. Silly turnovers. Also, you know, Jalen Carey, heck of a player, super physical, really a difference maker down low when it comes to rebounding, had 10 rebounds, but 0 points. So, final thoughts, this is not the end of the world for Tennessee. We're a lock at this point. It would have been nice to edge our way up closer to that 4 line, but this may, barring any implosions by us or another team, firmly lock us in at the 5. And Missouri was considered a bubble team. I would not be surprised if after tonight's victory they don't get over the hump. But I don't want to say become a lock because there's still a few games left, but certainly looked as though they deserve to be in the tournament. Moving on, going over to the Arizona game. If you were to just look at this box score, you would see, Arizona won by 7. What's the big deal here. And really what stood out is early on, Baylor was dominating this game. They were really, really pushing Arizona around. Felt like their shots wasn't, Baylor's shots would not miss. Meanwhile, Arizona could not buy a bucket. And so it resulted in, honestly, Arizona only being down at 7 at half, but throughout the majority of the first half there, they were in a double-digit deficit. So that was, when I was flipping between the two games, I was quite shocked by that. But then in the second half, their skill, their tenacity really, really flipped the script, and they were able to right that ship. A couple of standout players on both teams, because, again, I'm a Tennessee fan. Tobe Awaka, former Tennessee player, transferred to Arizona last year. This dude is just kind of similar to how Bishop Boswell is for Tennessee, where maybe the stat sheet doesn't show truly how he impacts the game. For Tobe Awaka to be like an undersized 4, sometimes definitely an undersized 5, 10 points, 13 rebounds, no turnovers, and a block. Dude is ferocious on the defensive end and really a huge game changer for Arizona, who's just looking to be a real national championship contender, just a great team all around. And then also have to shout out Cam Carr, 37 minutes, 26 points. Again, former Tennessee player, transferred out over a year ago in the middle of last season, actually, to Baylor. So, boy, what could be if we had both Tobe Awaka and Cam Carr right now to supplement who we have right now. But again, that's an alternate universe. But it's a shame to see Cam Carr on a team that's currently 14-14. However, he is certainly a star of the team. And then finally, just for lulz, no offense, Baylor fans, James Nagy here. We know he was kind of the first case of, I left college, now I'm coming back, give me eligibility. I was granted eligibility. A whopping 1 minute, 0 points. So this guy throughout the season has literally added nothing to Baylor. So rough season for Baylor. Arizona's able to get the game under control and continue to fight for a Big 12 championship and, potentially a 1 seed if they can keep it going. And then finally, a team that I don't want to say you wish would have been able to win. I wish, because they were part of a parlay and I had the money line for them, but that's beside the point here. BYU drops a game to UCF. Have to give UCF credit here. UCF is not a joke of a team. They're in the Big 12, which is arguably one of the toughest conferences in all of America, and they're 9-6, 20-7. Johnny Dawkins, right, the head coach there, he has done a masterclass in coaching in NIL, in getting the most out of the players that he has on his roster. So it's great to see, but it is still surprising to see BYU go in and have a 13-point loss. If I go down here, AJ Demancia is doing AJ Demancia stuff, and arguably number 1 overall pick in the draft kind of stuff. 29 points, 5 of 6 from free throw, 2 of 4 from 3, 8 rebounds, 3 turnovers. But still, this is a guy, he's a scorer, he's athletic, he's talented. However, I think what we're starting to see, if we go in here and we take a look at BYU, who's, lost one against Iowa State, which was huge, and lost against Arizona. Their remaining schedule is pretty reasonable, other than that Texas Tech game at the end of the year. But I do have real concerns with after losing Richie Saunders right to that injury. as a Tennessee fan, as someone who's seen it, you cannot win the big games when you only have one primary scorer. So when AJ's having to carry the bulk, they had Robert Wright scoring as well, but when AJ's having to carry the bulk of scoring and they don't have those secondary or tertiary options to give them a release valve to release the pressure that's on him, it's a shame to say, but I don't necessarily see BYU going far in March. This could be an absolutely ice-cold take. AJ DeBonce is a generational player and someone who's incredibly talented. But again, given that injury, given the loss to UCF here, not taking anything away from UCF, would not be surprised to see BYU come back down to earth a little bit. So just wanted to call it there. Wanted to recap some of those games from last night. Again, I think we've all got the itch. We're getting so close to March Madness, those conference tournaments, which should be a blast. So drop down in the comments what you think. Did your team win last night? Did I mess up any of these analyses? I'd love to hear that from you all. All right. Have a great day. Thanks. Thanks again for stopping in today. And remember, if you like this content, I can't ask enough. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Any and all support's greatly appreciated. And as always, go Vols!